That's what they were testing. Right. Someone writes antivirus software. They could make use of virtual machines. How? First thing you got to remember is what a virtual machine is. Some people are talking about virtual memory. No. Virtual machine. Basically a sandbox. Something that you can play with and you won't destroy anything. You won't alter the computer you're running on. It's simulation effectively. Okay? So we can set up a simulation. And the great thing is you can set up the simulation for different types of machines. So not just the machine you've got. So I could have a Mac machine and I could run a virtual machine for Linux, a virtual machine of a Mac, Windows, and any other flavour of operating system. Okay? You know, if you wanted to test DOS, you've got DOSBox, which you might have used if you tried to get old games running. But once you've got that virtual machine set up, anything you do to it does not affect the machine it's running on, because it's virtual. So this is perfect for antiviruses, because that means you can unleash a virus on that machine and see if your software detects it. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the day, you just reset the virtual machine. If it does, then you know it works, and you did it safely. Okay? You'd have to do quite exhaustive testing for viruses, but it just enables you to do it. Virtual machines are great. People use it when they're doing phone apps. You'll get virtual machines for different phones and different flavours of Android operating system. So you could run like the last 3-4 versions of Android to make sure your app works properly. It's actually an incredibly exhaustive job testing. Okay? Games companies, they've got an even bigger problem. Even if they're working on a PlayStation or an Xbox, you'd think it would be easy to test a game, but they have to like hook them up to lots of different types of monitors. Some of them don't bother, as you can tell, when you can't see anything. Okay. Right, so they could ask about virtual machines in loads of contexts like that. It's about they being able to destroy them and just restart them. Right, next bit. First come, first served. There were some good answers on this, and some people might not have made it as clear as they could have, but there were some good answers that said, like, if you use first come, first served, if the virus is already running, you're doomed because your virus scanner can't run. Yes. If your virus scanner's running, virus scanner's a long-running process, and some people did actually use that wording, which was great. No other programs will run. It's not very suitable. You need priorities, and some people said that. Okay? Yeah. So first come, first served does not work for something that you need running in the background, because you can't run in the background when you're using first come, first served. Okay? Right. BIOS. What happens when it's overwritten? The worst thing is that your machine's bricked. It means you can't boot. Okay? So you can't initialize the hardware, you can't load the operating system. It's not really the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is the virus has got control of your computer and you don't know, because it overwrit the BIOS. And it's hooked into the heart of the whole computer. You don't want BIOS viruses. Got to be very careful with BIOS viruses. But essentially, yeah, if you was to say, could potentially, try and say things like that. Don't be so fatalistic and say, it won't work. Say, potentially, it might not be able to boot. Worst case, it can boot and the virus has got control of your computer. Right. And then our last one. Let me just